Noah did much fishing while he was on the ark?
How could he? He only had 2 worms.
Oh.
Hey, Kevin.
Yeah?
Our family was really poor when I was a kid.
Really? How poor were you?
I had to share my sandbox with the cat. Hey, Liz.
Yeah, Moose.
Have you heard about the new chocolate milkshake diet?
No, how does it work?
Well, you take 5 chocolate milkshakes on the first day.
And then what?
Then nothing till you get thin.
Was that a joke? Like most kids growing up in the 80s and 90s, You Can't Do That on Television was a staple of my childhood. A zany, sometimes cringy, sometimes even crude Canadian sketch comedy that started airing in the US in 1981 on the new cable channel Nickelodeon. The show was produced by and aired on Ottawa's TV station and was marketed specifically for an American audience. Wait a second. The show was marketed specifically for an American audience? Did they just assume that American kids enjoyed crude, over-the-top, outlandish, moronic humor? Where kids are constantly being tortured and made fun of? Oh, they were right. A quick catch-up for those who have never watched, You Can't Do That on Television was a sort of Saturday Night Live for kids. Each episode had a specific theme, and the sketches were often short, made no sense, and weren't really that funny. And the show is most famous for introducing the iconic green slime, though I don't know who came up with the actual idea. Either way, that person was a genius. And as silly as the show was, I watched every day. The show became so popular, it eventually started playing every day. And over the 15 years of the show, kids were constantly being cycled in and out. There were a few kids who stuck around. Longtime hostess Christine Moose McGlade, Alistair Gillis, Lisa Motormouth Ruddy were some of the kids I remember hanging out for a while, but the rest were part of some revolving door of Canadian kid actors, eagerly waiting in line to get slimed, eat poison burgers at Barth's, or be shot down in a firing line. Children's television sausage factory. So the kids that left got ground up and turned into new kids. Man, Canada's rougher than I thought. But to be honest, the show was at its funniest when the adults popped in. Especially one in particular. This guy. Les Lie. You know him better as Barth, or the drunk dad, or the principal who always did the wrong thing, or El Capitano, or the dungeon guard, or any of the other characters he played. Les kept the show moving with his insane, over-the-top characters. He was one of the reasons the show was so successful.
Oh, please, sir. I'm too young to die.
You know, you may be right. Yes, I'll let you sit there for a few more minutes.
Les and all the other actors and actresses were always involved in some kind of off-the-wall hijinks. And some of it was a little bit, let's just say the 80s and 90s were a different time. You remember the skits, the dungeons, the firing squad, the electric chair, the restaurant where Barth was poisoning children on a consistent basis. Every skit usually ended with a kid either getting slimed, water dumped on their head, or getting some kind of severe punishment or poisoned. That was the gag. That's it. But that's what made the show so fun to watch. As a kid, I could relate. That's how life felt as a teenager sometimes. You felt as if everyone was against you. The teachers, the parents, even other kids. And the show was called You Can't Do That on Television. That's the whole premise. They're doing things you aren't supposed to do. Side note, the green slime recipe was a well-kept secret for a long time, and was a fixture of the series from the very beginning. If you got caught uttering the famous words, "I don't know," you would get green slime dumped on your head. The original recipe consisted of rotten food, but after continued complaints from the cast, the recipe was changed to green gelatin powder, oatmeal, and water. Eventually they added baby shampoo, so it would wash out of the actor's hair a little easier. In later years, the recipe consisted of green food coloring, added to a bucket of cottage cheese. I mean, most kids nowadays don't know that it was this show that started the slime craze.
Hey, come on, this ain't no hotel. He can't sleep here. Wake him up.
Vic, wake
Come
up!
on. You know, this is very strange. I've never seen anybody fall asleep in here before. My burgers usually keep them awake.
Yeah, because eating here usually gives them nightmares.
Guys, I think this is a bit more serious than it looks.
Huh?
He's not sleeping, Barth. He's dead.
Wait a minute, hold it. Don't panic. It's going to be all right. I'm used to this. A lot of people drop dead in here.
You gotta give them credit. They didn't hold back any punches. For instance, remember when I told you that the show was marketed specifically for an American audience? Check this out.
You know, America's got a lot more of everything than you do in Canada.
Yeah, right, Matthew. A lot more crime.
And a lot more pollution. And a lot more of you can't do that on television. Yeah. Coast to coast, twice a day.
But guys, don't worry. We're catching up to them. I mean, we're getting their crime.
Yeah, and we're getting their acid rain. And you can't do that on television is coming back to CJOH. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
We're sorry.
But that's why the show was awesome. They didn't care. They just did what they wanted.
So, you are all passing on to the next grade.
Yeah! Even me, sir?
Oh, yes, even you, Ted.
All right!
But sir, that's not fair. I mean, Ted never does his homework. He disrupts the class. He can't even read and write.
Oh, I know, but I am being generous. I think it's time some other teacher experienced his little idiosyncrasy.
Oh, but sir, we were kind of hoping to get away from Ted. You know his problem.
No. You are taking him with you.
In 1990, the show's ratings started to decline, and Nickelodeon's desire to produce more of its own shows, coupled with the low ratings, caused production of You Can't Do That on Television to officially end. Though Nickelodeon continued to air reruns until January 1994. But the show lives on, not only through the green slime, but the numerous parodies over the years, Robot Chicken, Family Guy, News Radio, How I Met Your Mother, and many other shows have done spoofs of You Can't Do That on Television. And hopefully, with all the clips on YouTube nowadays, some kids will stumble upon the show and find themselves laughing along to the shockingly crude Canadian humor of You Can't Do That on Television. And maybe, just maybe, those kids will grow up to make videos that will entertain the masses. So thanks for backpedaling with me. Why not leave me a like? Maybe even subscribe. Yeah, I heard that. I'm Tig, and you are...